All right, welcome to week 5 of recaps. We got a lot to go over, some new transactions, some hot topics in the league, and a lot of standing shakeups. I'm Ian, and joining me again this week, my co-host Justin.
Hello, it's great to be here.
And let's hop right into it, Justin. Let's see what
Mhm.
happened over this last week, and we got some games.
Absolutely.
Justin, I'll let you start it off. What do you think
Uh, th-
about this week?
yeah, there were certainly games that were played. Each team brought six Pokemon, um, and choose specific moves in a sequence, turn-based style. Um, that's about all the positive notes I have for this week. Ian, obviously you are the expert here, but this the theme for this week was mistakes and people capitalizing on those mistakes.
Absolutely. There's a few games that were excellently played. Not talking to everybody in this week.
Mm-hmm.
There was some great comebacks, but there's a lot of games in this week that you know were absolute stinkers. Uh,
Yes.
well, entertaining at least to watch, but
Yes.
from a skill perspective, this one took a nosedive.
And you're bound to have stinkers in in this long of a season. Not everyone is going to be able to play at their top level, week to week. So it just happened. It just so happened that everyone decided to have their stinker week in week 4.
Absolutely. I think that we'll see more from these teams as we go. But
Mm-hmm.
this week really tanked some records, a lot of upsets, a lot of close games. We even had a disqualification this week for use of an
Yeah.
illegal move, really tossing the standings into disarray. So, a lot to look over here. I guess I should go over what exactly happened. We have Vincent losing to David, Ethan beating Chris, Josh beating Roman, Zach beating Alex, myself beating Caden, Jacob beating Justin, Aiden beating Hunter, and Kyler beating Titus. So I guess we'll start with some of the games that I think were actually really good this week. Justin, Kyler versus Titus. This was a
Easily,
showcase.
easily match of the week, perhaps even match of the season so far. Just an absolute masterclass from both teams here.
Absolutely. This was a very fun one to watch. We got to watch the pendulum swing back and forth all game. And then, we had an excellent ending with Coach Kyler putting on the moves and getting a incredible win at the end, pulling Greninja with 5 kills this week. What a week.
Yeah, this is one of those weeks where you know, uh, when it gets into games like this that are so back and forth, so close, inevitably you're going to need your big players to step up, and a lot of guys, shy away from that. But Greninja's not one of them. He knew that his team needed him, and he stepped up to the challenge.
Yeah, but on top of that, we also got to see some impressive performances from Slowking this week, picking up a couple kills and being a powerful
Mm-hmm.
pivot through the whole game. Yeah, it was a great week for both these teams.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is one of those games I think that we're going to look back towards the end of the season when playoff talks are happening, and I think it's a very pivotal win here for Kyler.
Absolutely, this putting him to 3-1 gives him a great shot into the playoffs, and definitely makes it a little bit more difficult for Titus. But I can definitely see this matchup happening again in the playoffs. I think there's a
Mm.
good shot that they will run it back, and
Yeah.
hopefully neither of them used all of their tech for this week, and we get to see something new. Let's go right into another one of our matches this week that we
Oh
want to
boy.
showcase. Justin, what do you think was the most interesting match of the week?
Everybody, pop the champagne. Zach and the Miami Dolphins got a win, baby. All right. Not only did they get a win to avoid being the worst team in league history, they did it against the coach that had the worst season in league history. It's almost poetic that way. I heard, the players were celebrating, they were popping the champagne, singing "We Are the Champions" in the locker room after the match. This was just fascinating game to watch. Coach Alex coming in here with a very strong team, very solid game plan.
2-1 record as well. He had the winning record.
Yes.
And dropped the ball.
And
not that Zach played in any bad capacity, but I mean, he was definitely not the favorite to win this game by any means.
No, definitely not.
And Zach played amazing. He seemed like he had finally got his footing into the league, figured out what he was wanting to do, and Alex just wasn't prepared for it.
And this is what we've been talking about every week. This isn't like, baseball where you're playing 100-something games every season. There's only 8 games in this league every season. So one win is all it takes to take you from, is this going to be the worst team ever, into, is he about to come back and sneak his way into the back half of the playoff? And that's now a realistic possibility.
Absolutely, and it only takes 4 to get there. He has a long road ahead of him. He still has to, win another 3 games. But it's a lot more optimistic when you are 1-3 than when you are 0-3. So
absolutely,
this is a good start. Alex, of course, not out of it yet. He's still looking pretty decent.
Not even close.
Still 2-2 with a decent record. So he's doing all right. I think both of these teams could definitely potentially sneak their way in, and we're halfway through the season now, so it is looking like it is going to be playoff talk for a lot of these matches.
Absolutely.
And speaking of, let's take a look at how these matches affected the standings this week.
A lot of movement.
Absolutely. The first thing that sticks out to me is we'll start at the top this week. And, Phoenix Ferrets sitting on top with 4-0 plus 18. Moving on to our next 2 teams, we got Driftville Rangers and Six Dittos, our only 2 3-1 teams. Both of these have very high playoff hopes as well. I think, it looks good for them, and they have a very decent enough differential to definitely, make it work, even if they do have a tough remainder of the season.
I think it was, I think a lot of people forgot about Coach Kyler. I mean, he has had a history of greatness in this league, just a consistent force to be reckoned with. But I think after you beat his team pretty handily, I feel like maybe subconsciously people sort of forgot about them. But, here he is, all of a sudden, marching his way back into 3rd spot, being like, I never left. I don't know why you people forgot about me,
Absolutely. This is a former finalist we're talking about, and,
Mm-hmm.
He only lost to the person that beat him in the finals in Season 1 to begin with, so I don't know what people were thinking, and, Kyler's still right up here with the pack, and, 3-1 is a great record, and after squeezing out a great win against Titus, who was, previously undefeated team after week 2, so, he's looking pretty strong at this point. And speaking of Titus, he is leading the pack of the 2-2 records, so the even records. We have a lot of these from number 4.
9 teams.
Number 4 in the league.
9 teams at 2-2, man.
To number 12, including Why Not Us, Field Team 6, the Houston Haunters, Colorado Avalanche, Dallas Steel Wings, Milwaukee Melt Tanks, Orlando Magikarp, Los Angeles Chargerbugs, and the San Francisco Arcanines. All up there at 2-2. Justin, this race is going to look like it's going to really come down to the differential this season.
I was about to say, man, you hate to see, like a situation where these teams, 2 teams have the exact same record, but at the end of the day, one person won bigger and lost smaller, and the other person didn't, and that's what keeps them out. So looking forward, it's, usually like, when we get towards the end of the playoffs, people start to rest their starters, activate some load management to get them ready for the playoffs. But a lot of these teams are not going to have that luxury. They're going to need to bring their A game every single week so that not only can they win, but they need to win by a big margin in order to get that differential in their favor.
Absolutely. And while some of them, like the Why Not Us and Field Team 6, have a little bit of a pad cushion, there's a lot like the San Francisco Arcanines and your Los Angeles Chargerbugs, Justin, that they have to really step up their A game and make sure that they have a decent margin in every win. And then
Mhm.
finally, we have our bottom 4 teams, sitting at 1-3. We have the Federal for Alligators. We have Big Steppa. We have Miami Palafins and Planet of the Annihilapes, all at 1-3 with varying differentials. And these teams have it much harder to make the playoffs, but again, not out of it. Though
Definitely not.
the lower differential teams like Zach and Hunter, I think they really have to come with their A game. Both of them seem to be facing elimination pretty soon. So,
Absolutely.
in the next couple weeks is really going to determine whether or not they can even have a chance to make the playoffs in the last couple weeks. So, they're going to have to win out for the most part. Other than that, I believe it is time that we look at the MVP race for this chunk of the season. What am I looking at? Why is Halucha at the top of this MVP race?
Well, you see, when you click 1,000 arrows instead of extreme speed in front of like 30% Meowscarada, and then you know, it starts to go downhill, and then all of a sudden nothing outspeeds and nothing has priority, and then, you know, it just deja vu, I guess, because Halucha coming in late game, unburdened sweeper, seems to be Jacob's go-to plan. He's not afraid to hide it from anyone, and anyone who plays him should expect that and try their best to stop it.
Field Team 6 does have a history of relying on a singular Pokemon to really carry them in the damage and kills department. And often, this has somewhat backfired for them in the past. So far, it's gone fine for them. They're 2-2, but it's very exploitable. And we'll see if the teams in the next couple of weeks can pick up on, you know, what he's doing and bring a reasonable counter to it.
Absolutely, and I think that is when we're gonna see if Halucha truly should be respected as, you know, an MVP caliber player, or is he benefiting from the system that he's in?
Absolutely, and I think you know, we'll really see if, you know, Jacob has a second option that can really, you know, carry the team when Halucha is dealt with, rather than you know, just completely relying on him.
Yeah.
On top of that, we have a lot of other interesting picks for, you know, top of the league. We have Heatran, Urshifu, and Jianbao both sitting at +6 right now.
Ian, I can't help but notice 3 Phoenix Ferret players are in the top 5 for MVP race. What do you have to say about just, you know, your players coming out and performing at this high of a level together?
It's been a really good season. But,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think the stats tell the whole story. I don't know if these 3 have necessarily... Well, they've been incredible players all season. I don't know if they are actually what have, you know... That's not really being... They're being enabled by, you know, another Phoenix Ferret, who's, you know, not probably getting the attention it deserves, though I'm sure coaches in the league are very aware of it. Alola Mola is really what's making this team work. And you know, it doesn't sound like it's doing great, but, you know, it's sitting down here at like what, a very, very low total.
Very low. Has it gotten a single kill?
It has gotten 0 kills, Justin.
Wow.
It's sitting at number 157 at the moment.
Wow.
And, you know, not necessarily in the MVP race. It's 0-1 all
Just
4 games.
Darkrai.
Just above Darkrai. And, you know, but I feel like he has really been the glue of the team that has made everything function. So, you know.
Definitely. Every team wants a player like Alola Mola. All right, because they are there. They don't need to score points. They don't need to get kills. They're there to support the other players to make sure that they can perform at the top of their game.
Absolutely. And you guys have definitely heard me over the course of the season and even the preseason be talking about slow pivots. This is the slow pivot. This is what's making the team work. Justin, speaking of top of the leaderboard that you got there, Terabagos.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really been a super solid player, even through my own shortcomings. Obviously, I'm still learning as a coach, and I understand that. I would never put anything on my team. Obviously, I made that joke about Darkrai being right below Amololola, but it's just I need to find out how to put a right system around them. But even through me experimenting and learning, Toronto Ghost is just every single week he's just able to, really show that you know, no matter what system I'm in, no matter what game plans around me, I'm going to make myself known, and I'm going to be a problem for them. And I think he's just been fantastic.
Absolutely. And, I'll bring this last one up before we move on. But Greninja is sitting there at 11, who's shot up from, like, the bottom of the league since then.
Yeah.
Coach Kyler really sneaking in on that top 10 there.
Expect that to keep rising. Let me just say that. I don't expect him to finish outside the top 10 in MVP race.
Absolutely, I think Greninja will continue to rise. I think Kyler has really figured out where he wants to play this Greninja and like what he does for the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't imagine he drops from this point, especially with such a good coach. So let's move on to our transactions for the week because we got a good chunk of those. A small chunk of them, really. Let's start with the one that happened during one of the matches.
Man.
Gaten.
Yeah.
I was literally playing my game while, this one happened. Shaman Sky getting dropped Coach Gaten and the Driftwood Rangers dropping Shaman Sky and adding Melmetal. After a suspicious healing wish called by Coach Gaten and immediately drops him, sending him straight to China. This is becoming a pattern, Justin.
Really?
Yeah, this is the second one this season that he's, had sacrificed themselves for a teammate and then immediately shipped away. I'm again, player safety.
Absolutely, and I think it's not surprising to me to see this kind of behavior from Coach Caden. I think it speaks volumes to just how much respect he has for his players, which is clearly not a lot. And I think that's why many times during games they seem not motivated because their leader is someone that can just send their ass to Guangdong in the middle of a game and not even let them get back to the bench.
Yeah.
I will say though,
probably why they peter out like right at the end of the season. Right?
Exactly.
Before,
if they get tired, it's exhausting. Yeah. Exactly. And then they get to the finals, they get to the top of the hill, but then it's just not enough. You need your players to be behind you and believe and buy into your vision in order to get to that next hump and being able to win that championship. And that's why Coach David masterfully gets to the finals. He might not always have the best team. He might not even always have the best game plan and strategy, but his players believe in him, and they know that he's a winner and that he's a true leader. Okay, he knows what it takes to get his players to play their best. And Coach Caden, I'm not sure if he has that in him.
That being said, Shaman Sky has been underperforming this season, only coming to a single game. And, I don't think this is necessarily a bad transaction for Coach Caden. Melmetal is a very, very powerful Pokemon. Offer a lot to the team. So I do hope to see some good results from this transaction, even if it is for Coach Caden.
I think we'll see if the pattern of great players coming to Coach Caden's team and underperforming. We'll see if that keeps up with Melmetal. I hope not. Obviously, Melmetal's a great guy. He really anchors the team and has a lot of great defense. But who knows what's going to happen with that guy coaching him.
Yeah. Anyway, we have two more sets of transactions. We had Coach Jacob, this field team 6, dropping Tapu Fini, adding Screamtail, dropping Sceptile, adding Quillfish, and moving his Terra Captain from Cyclozard to Hillego. This is the return of Screamtail to field team 6. I believe he's an original Field Team 6 member from Season 2. So this is quite exciting.
Yeah.
Quillfish is a great addition. Really makes up for, losing the water type in Tapu Fini. And, grounded poisons are always nice. Slow pivots.
Absolutely.
And Scream
And I think, absolutely. And I think the one thing that Jacob really was lacking was some sort of pivot ability that didn't, outspeed the other person. So getting that slow pivot in Quillfish is a very good pickup. The Terra Captain of Cyclizar always kind of confused me whenever he chose to do that. So I think this switch to Nihilego it's a good one.
Absolutely. I think Nihilego is a very powerful Terra Captain, and I think Cyclizar is better in lower power Terra Captain leagues. So this is probably going to be a big upgrade for Jacob's team just with that switch right there. And then finally we got one more set of transactions. Vincent dropping Hisuian Goodra and adding Hatterene. Hatterene will become the new Terra Cap in Goodra's place. And dropping Rabombi and adding Amoonguss. Justin, what am I looking at?
Well, you're looking at just about the best damn player in this league getting picked up on a team. All right. And I'm not talking about Hatterene. All right. So Amoonguss is a legend. He's just about probably the highest IQ player in the league. You talk to him, he just knows the game ins and outs. He's knows what to do in order to, win games. I've never seen a game where I haven't thought to myself, I wish Amoonguss was on this team right now. I think he would improve this roster. So I think having Amoonguss there, man, the sky is the limit now for Vincent.
I surely hope so. I hope it changes the season around. I am glad to see the Hatterene get added as well, because Hisuian Goodra and
I guess.
And Archaludon are pretty similar. It's like Archaludon and worse Archaludon over there.
Ooh.
I'm not sure how I feel about Amoonguss, but, Justin likes him, so there's that.
He's gonna make a difference.
I hope so. He's he could use the bump. I do like the magic bounce that Hatterene will provide. The ability to reflect hazards on the other side of the field will be a big deal, and just having a fairy is always necessary on your teams. The ability to spread Nuzzle is pretty necessary for this team because it's so slow. So Hatterene looks like a great addition, I think, even if it comes at the cost of Rabombi. So now we have one last section here. Heading back to our schedule, we have our Week 5 games that we have to go over. Starting off, we have Vincent versus Ethan, Josh versus David, Zach versus Chris, myself versus Roman, Justin versus Alex, Aiden versus Caden, Kyler versus Jacob, and Titus versus Hunter. Justin, this week looks quite interesting, and it's probably going to be a big impact on playoffs.
Absolutely. It's going to be a hugely important week.
Absolutely. We have some teams looking to lock in playoffs, and we have some teams that are kind of on the edge of potentially getting knocked out. And let's start with two teams that are really, really looking to win this week, or their playoff hopes get much, much sadder after this week, due to just the rigor of their schedule after this. We have David and Josh going at it once again. And, Justin, these two have quite a history. David has never, ever actually won a game versus Josh, despite the fact of him winning 2 leagues.
I mean, that just perfectly encapsulates the kind of player that Josh is. He is a coach that wants to be a disruption in the league. He wants to throw you off your balance. He wants to keep you on your toes. And the second you underestimate him, he might just turn it around and beat you by 4. I mean, he's someone that for whatever reason, Coach Dave has never been able to quite lock in and be able to beat him. And, that being said, though, if there's a season to do it, David's got to make it this season because they're right next to each other, right on the edge of the playoffs, 8 and 9 seed, same record, same point differential. And so
Both
this is going to be
exactly
huge for
neutral
both
of
of them.
2-2 and 0. So this will be a big.
Crazy.
Either of them will have a big win on their hands, and
Yeah.
eliminating some of the competition. Putting the other one down a little bit is a big deal, and putting themselves up. So this is a huge match for both teams, and I mean, there's some big players in this game. I think Iron Bundle looks incredible as he does every week, but I think most importantly, Slowbro looks very difficult to deal with for Josh.
Definitely. And if Josh wants a chance in this game, Slowbro needs to be eliminated as quickly as possible, and I'm not sure if he's able to do that.
Absolutely, and it's very difficult for Josh to really, since it's so difficult for him to get rid of. Slowbro might just be spamming Scalds and other just disruptive
Yeah,
options into this team that eventually will add up over time. Give David that little advantage he needs to take the game with a Pokemon like Bundles, Rude, or Mega Gallade to finish
and
it
I
out.
do want I want to see Iron Bundle have his breakout game. We haven't really seen that from him yet. It's been, he has 3 kills this season. He's going positive, but I want to see him have that game where he reminds everyone that he is a top tier caliber Mon.
Absolutely. He's been consistently picking up kills for David every game that he comes out, but it's, hopefully this will be the one where he really shows us what he's made of.
Absolutely.
And yeah, we have one more game we'd like to go over here.
hmm
Justin, why don't you lead us to our final game that we're going to go over before we finish up?
So the final game that we're gonna be talking about here is two uh, seasoned coaches going at it this week. We have Coach Kyler leading his 6 Dittos against Coach Jacob's Steel Team 6. Uh, Once again, another very important matchup. Uh, we talked about Coach Kyler earlier. He's looking great this season, as he always does. But Coach Jacob, after having a pretty slow start, really starting to turn it around. And he's he looks like he might be able to give Kyler a run for his money in this match.
Absolutely. This is going to be a really good game. This is less about playoffs, I think, even though Jacob really does need to win this game.
Mhm.
Because I think both of them have a good shot to make it win or lose. But, both could really use this win here. But it's more about that this game is going to be entertaining to watch. We have Holucha on one side, we have Greninja on another, and both of them have recently just grabbed their, a big 4 or 5 kill game back to back.
hmm
So, two Mons on a hot streak colliding. Only one will come out on top. So,
Absolutely, it's something that you have to look at is the lack of a solid ice type to be a true counter to Garchomp. I think Garchomp is coming out here. I think he's going to be trying to feast on this team, but he can't be too confident because he has a couple of players that are strong enough and have the ability to cancel him out. So it's just going to be a really good coach matchup in this game, and I'm excited to see how it turns out.
absolutely. Especially since I feel like Holucha may have a little bit more trouble sweeping because of something like Skeledirge. Just the
Mm,
presence of Skeledirge being able to, having the ability unaware, stopping Swords Dance sweeps, and being so physically bulky, and having an immunity to fighting moves, makes this thing quite a threat for Holucha to deal with. And maybe too much for the bird to overcome. We'll see how it turns out. I'm excited to see what Jacob brings into this match to try to
absolutely.
mitigate what Skeletor's could really do to this team. So
Do you think we see his new Terra captain, Helgo? Do we think we see him show up and try new Terra out?
I think there's a strong possibility that this could be like a Terra ice set, maybe. Trying to
Mm,
hit that Landorus for super effective damage, maybe some Terra Water to hit Landorus or Skeledirge, resist Mawile, Ironhead, something like that. I think could be really
absolutely.
cool. Ice is also good against Thwackey and Hisui and Lilligant, but you also have to keep an eye out on that Sun mode that Kyler has going on his team. So
Man, Man, it's gonna be a great game. I'm so excited to watch this one.
There's a lot of different ways this one could play out, and a lot of different ways they could build their teams. So this is gonna be a cool one. Um, and Justin, I believe that's all we got for this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will see you guys next week with our weekly recap on Week 6. We'll probably have a ton of things to go over and a bunch of playoff updates, most likely, and as well as our final transactions of the season. So stay tuned for that, and yeah, good luck this week.